Good evening. This is the Civics Art Commission regular meeting. It is Monday, November 4th, 2024. It is 7 p.m. We're meeting in the City Council Chambers, 200 Old Bernal Avenue, Pleasanton, California, 94566. The meeting is held in person and it will be streamed at https://www.youtube.com/user/the City of Pleasanton. Public participation. It is requested that members of the public wishing to address the commission submit a speaker card. When public comment is opened on an agenda item, individuals may speak once per agenda item. In person, submit a physical speaker card at the meeting. When your name is called, please provide comment at the podium. Call to order. Commissioner Fry, would you like to lead us for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes. Please stand. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Fry. Rachel, would you do the roll call, please?
Commissioners Bayoki, Commissioner Fry,
Present.
Commissioner Giancola, here. Commissioner Lam,
Present.
Commissioner Simmons,
Here.
Commissioner Song, Commissioner Yi, and Chair Coleman Knight.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Rachel, are there any agenda amendments?
Yes, on item 4, we've added some supplemental materials and they've been uploaded to the website. And those include updated attachments 1 and 2, which we will go over when we get to item 4. Just want to make you aware. Thank you.
Thank you. Approval of minutes. And commissioners, have you had a chance to read the minutes? And do you have comments about them? The minutes are for October the 7th, 2024.
Hello.
Can we add Commissioner Yi to the roll call, please?
Thank you.
Commissioner Yi, would you say yes, you're here?
Here.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the meeting or of October the 7th on the minutes? Or do they stand approved as written? Can I have a motion approving the minutes of October the 7th, 2024?
I'll move to approve the meeting minutes of, that's October 7th, 2024.
I second.
Thank you.
Can you repeat the motion so we can get who first and second, please?
That's Commissioner Lamb. Could you repeat the motion?
I move to approve the Civic Arts Commission minutes of October 7th, 2024.
And Commissioner Fry seconds.
Okay. Call for a vote.
Commissioners Bayoki, Commissioner Fry,
Aye.
Commissioner Giancola,
Aye.
Commissioner Lam,
Aye.
Commissioner Simmons,
Abstain.
Commissioner Song, Commissioner Yi,
Aye.
and Chair Coleman Knight.
Aye. Just for the record, the commissioner that abstained was not present at the meeting, and that's why she abstained. Thank you. Okay. That closes the approval of the minutes. Meeting is now open to the public. Are there introductions, awards, recognitions, or presentations?
Thank you, Chair Coleman Knight. I just wanted to quickly introduce Anya Pavlak, who is our office manager. She'll be joining some commission meetings with us to help with facilitating the minutes and just supporting the meeting. So I just wanted to make note of Anya being here tonight. That's all.
Welcome. Thank you. So that is point number 2 on the meeting open to the public. Is that closed? There are no more introductions, awards, recognitions, or presentations. Thank you. So we're on item 3 now. Public comment regarding items not listed on the agenda. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Are there any speakers?
No speakers tonight.
Thank you. Item 3 is now closed. Matters for the Commission's review, action, and information. Item number 4, review fiscal year 2023-24 Civic Arts final performance reports. And this is item number 4 is for review and comment. So Commissioners, where do you want to begin?
Chair Coleman, I can present the item. I have some notes I can share.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Commission. As Chair Coleman Knight shared, this next item before you is informational. This is the item that includes the supplemental materials. So there's an updated version of attachment 1 and 2. And most notably, the report now includes the Pleasanton Community Concert Band's final report, which is submitted on November 3rd. The community grant program in the civic arts category for fiscal year 23-24 supported 8 projects with a total allocation of $47,800. Projects funded were required to start after July 1, 23 and conclude by June 30, 24. Grant recipients were required to submit a midterm report and a final report. And that final report was due July 15th, 2024 to comply with the grant guidelines. Out of the allocated $47,800, $42,871.96 was expended by the end of the fiscal year. Again, this is an informational item for you and is just meant to provide an update on the final reports and ensure awareness among the Commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. So this item is for review and therefore comments, if you would like to entertain those comments. Rachel, would you go back to remind us about the supplemental chart that was included for this? There was an original in the agenda packet. There was an original chart. It was amended and it was in supplemental. Would you highlight that, please?
Sure. So the updated attachment 1 includes the Pleasant Community Concert Band's report date. So originally it just said due because it was not submitted yet. And now you'll see it says November 3rd, 2024 when it was submitted. The other thing that was updated on this was the East Bay Musical Society. It said they had a balance of $1,325. That was just a typo. It should have been a 0. Okay. So they spend all their money.
All right.
Let's see.
Good job.
And then the other update is just the full final report. And I did also just want to make a note, there were questions on all the detail in there. So if you go through those reports, you will see the application questions, you will see the midterm report responses, and the final report responses. So it's a comprehensive package of everything that was submitted by the recipients of grant funding. So this is really just our final closure of the grant program for that fiscal year. And as you'll see tonight, we'll be talking about the next fiscal year grant program. So this is just the finality for this one.
Good. And those full reports appeared under supplemental materials.
Correct.
Good. Okay. Thank you. Any comments, Commissioners? Or questions or?
So we're
pieces of-
still looking for a final report from the Livermore Valley Arts.
So they did not submit one. I did reach out and ask if they had any information they wanted me to share tonight, and I did not hear anything back.
So does that mean that they're not submitting invoices?
They also did not submit any invoices.
So they returned $4,600.
Did the event happen? Do we know? I wasn't able to attend. Yeah, it definitely happened.
Yeah, I thought so.
So we just got the midterm report,
Right.
which has some information, but no final report.
Are there any other questions or comments?
I just have one comment. I'm impressed that everyone came so close to their budget numbers.
Right. I like those
I would
zeros.
be shocked if they didn't.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure they obviously need the funds, but I think it shows that the process, is working.
Well, our charge was to review, and if there are no further comments, then we'll move on to the next item, and unless you would like to add anything? Any one of my commissioners want to make a comment? Warren, this is really your first time in seeing these grants. What do you think?
Oh, I'm still looking at the numbers and stuff. I did Zoom grants for the youth commission though, so I'm a little bit familiar. But this is a little different. So.
Rachel, do you have a comment?
No comments.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
All right, then I'm going to close item 4 unless commissioners would like to make an additional comment. Commissioner Yee, do you have
I
anything?
mean, I was just wondering, I don't, this won't happen this time, but, and I know it's probably a lot more staff coordination, but it would be kind of cool for not the grantee, but the people that they did the performances for, did the education for, to actually like show up and tell us something about what they liked, or add some life to the actual written report somehow. Maybe there's a video message, or I don't know. I just think that would make it a little bit more interesting. Because I don't necessarily think that just because they spent all their money means it was a good process. I don't know. I think there's more to it than just spending your money. How was it received? Just hearing. I mean, right? Anybody can come and say nice things about a program, right? And we still don't really know if it was great or it could have been better. But it just adds some realism to.
Did we include in our previous discussions? I thought about having a having them do a
I think you're right.
presentation,
Yeah.
PowerPoint, something visual so we can see, because we can't
yeah.
attend all these events, and it'd be nice to see smiling faces. Or
Exactly. I think you're right. I think
I
talked
believe
about
we
this
we
before.
talked about having that as a requirement, maybe in lessening some of the written requirements that
But
we
have a
went through
live-
all of that, to have like some
a
sort
live
of
one.
So this would be a suggestion.
Presentation.
Item 5 will be taking a look at criteria, and it's possible that that consideration might be included under item 5. But I think what you're looking for right now, your comment, Commissioner Yee, is about the impact of this. How can we judge the impact from the people that received or the audience that was there and so on. And I think it's a worthy consideration. So why don't we tuck it in mind here and then move on to item 5 and see if that will be applied there. Are we in agreement? A nod would be good.
Yes, sounds fine, yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on to item 5, please. And Rachel, would you introduce the item, please?
Yes, thank you, Chair Coleman Knight. So this next item on the agenda here is for your review and approval. Annually, the Civic Arts Commission evaluates and updates the funding criteria to ensure alignment with community needs and goals. In the report here, you'll see the criteria adopted for fiscal year 23-24, and those were encourage diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, engage new participants and audiences in the arts, as well as participants that are diverse in age and race. 3 is target a specific community need or gap in art services. pursue arts education programs or collaborate with the Pleasanton Unified School District. And 5 was involve collaboration or co-production with local organizations. So tonight we're asking that the commission discuss and adopt criteria that will be included for fiscal year 24-25 for the community grant program application. The updated criteria will guide the evaluation of applications and the allocations of funds for qualifying projects in the upcoming grant cycle.
Thank you. So what we're considering a review and approve funding criteria. And Commissioner Yee, why don't you open up your discussion when you're taking a look at funding criteria? Perhaps your suggestion fits there.
I mean, I don't really know that it's a funding criteria. I think it's more part of the, reporting out of what they did, right?
When we had that workshop, the joint workshop, we went through and X'd and O'd, crossed out, changed what we wanted to see in our grant application. Am I remembering that correctly?
Well,
And I believe that's when it was brought up. I don't know if that ended up in the final, because we haven't seen any final grant application yet.
No, and that will be available in January. So we are still working on that document. And part of tonight's discussion is the criteria, which will be included in that application. So I did note Commissioner Yee's comment on the final report, and I do remember that conversation, and I personally think it's a great idea. So I'll note that and see how we can include that for the final report information received, or even midterm report, right? So when we provide these reports to the commission, we can remind the recipients that we will be presenting this information and invite them to come. So I think it would be good if they were present as well. But yes, as you mentioned for tonight, it's what are you looking for when you're evaluating the applications?
Commissioner Lamb, we had a meeting, the Civic Art Commission met with the Teen Commission, okay? And as a result of that about 2.5-hour meeting, there were certain suggestions that came forward. And I think that's the reference that's going on here, and because you were not present for that, okay? But the intention here is to look at the funding criteria. And for me, my consideration, I'm okay with this funding criteria, but I think there's a misalignment between the scoring criteria and the funding criteria. And that's a concern that maybe we can take up at a later time. And that would be in January then?
So the scoring we can look at administratively and make sure that they align, because I do know that was a discussion in the joint meeting as well. So administratively, we can look at that and make sure that it's, to use the word alignment again, but in align with the criteria as well. So that we can take care of. Yes.
Is there some way
Absolutely.
to look at the funding throughout, who we're funding, especially since funds are even tighter this year? Who we're funding and make sure it's equitable, that one group in particular isn't getting an overabundance, just overall looking at the funding instead of one at a time.
So that, yes, in our grant meeting will happen. That's the expectation of the commission, that you all are evaluating these grants and recommending the funding that you believe aligns with the criteria that you're selecting. But for tonight, we have to start at the base level here of what is the criteria that you think is important for the applicants. You know, this will be included in the application, so they want to know, what are you looking for?
Yes.
I mean, I think we did a good job with the 5 we named here.
I'm entirely in agreement with these 5. How do you feel about that, Commissioner Giancola? Are you in agreement with all 5?
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, I can't see any changes that I want to make. I think we kind of hit all the important elements there.
Commissioner Yee, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's good. I just want to make sure though that there's some way that we're making sure that the grantees or the applicants are connected to the school district in the best way, because I've felt that was always sort of this kind of nebulous, willy-nilly thing that I didn't, I don't know that they really had a real connection, and it would be good for that to be a little bit better aligned. And they have had changes at the school district, who is overseeing curriculum, and I need to put Rachel in touch, but
I think it's a worthy consideration, and that may come up in our January discussion. But in 1 through 5, is that criteria okay with you? Or any changes that you would make in that criteria wording or
Still
anything?
good. We spent a lot of time on it. I think it's good.
Okay. Commissioner Simmons, what do you think?
I'm happy with it. We've discussed it, and I think they've got it nailed down.
Okay, Commissioner Fry?
I think our wording is good. I like number 4, that it's pursuing an art education program or collaborating with the school district.
Okay. Commissioner Lamb, this is the first time you've really seen this, I'm sure, but any comments?
I think you could find a little bit of redundance in the first and second one, like encouraging diversity for the first one. The second one says engaging in participants that are diverse in age and race. But other than that, I think it's good.
Could you put the speaker closer to you?
Yeah.
'Cause I'm
I
having
think you're
a-
right, it is a little bit redundant, but I feel like it probably doesn't need to be 2 separate ones, but I just kind of feel like politically, everybody feels like they need to keep using DEI, and keep beating that one over the head of everyone. So I think that's why it's called out separately, but it is very similar.
Okay. And belonging under, the strategic plan really is inclusion, correct? Okay, just making sure that that is converted over. Okay?
And I think
Then-
it's good that it emphasizes engaging new participants, so that we're looking for
Yes.
someone out there who's never received money or thought they could receive money.
It seems we're in agreement here, so I would like to have someone entertain a motion, since that's really what we need to do, is review and approve the funding criteria. So who would like to put that
Well,
motion
hang on, wait a
forward?
minute, maybe a little bit more clarification. So when you're saying in the DEI piece, that's the DEI of the grantees, and then number 2 is who they would be serving? Is that what we're all thinking this means?
I don't know if I understand your comment. Could you clarify that a little bit more?
So if this is funding criteria, right, for the grantees,
Yes.
so are we saying that the grantees have to encourage diversity or DEI in the work that they're doing with the grant funds? Or are we saying that we're encouraging DEI in the outreach for the grantees?
This is the grantee. The grantee in their grant must include or encourage diversity, equity, and inclusion. And that's what we're looking for.
their work.
Yes,
In
in
their
their work, correct. Yeah. And that's what we're looking for. And in January, we'll talk about the alignment of the scoring criteria with the funding criteria and make sure that we are scoring what we say we are putting forth in our funding criteria.
Okay, just making sure.
Okay.
I would like to make a motion to approve the funding criteria for fiscal year 24-25 as it currently stands, number 1 through 5.
I'll second.
And Rachel, can you call for the vote?
Commissioner Bayoki, Commissioner Fry,
Aye.
Commissioner Giancola,
Aye.
Commissioner Lam,
Aye.
Commissioner Simmons,
Aye.
Commissioner Song, Commissioner Yi,
Aye.
and Chair Coleman Knight.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that concludes item 5. And now we're going to move forward to item 6, review and approve Civics Art Commission meeting schedule for 2025. Rachel, can you introduce this item?
Yes, thank you. So this next item before you is a review and approve action item. and it's to review and approve the Civic Arts Commission meeting schedule for 2025. The proposed Civic Arts Commission meeting schedule is in the discussion area. Location is right here in the City Council chambers. Time of our meeting will be 7 o'clock, except for the grant meeting, which would start at 6. The dates listed here that are proposed are January 6th, March 3rd, April 7th, May 5th, August 4th, October 6th, and November 3rd. So we're just asking the commission to vote to approve the schedule or provide any feedback of what you would like to see changed if there's any. Thank you.
Commissioners, do you have comments? Essentially, it's the first Monday of the month. And what I notice is that February is missed here. And in the past, we have skipped January, but we had February. And then, so are we leaving February open for a possible inclusion?
So the way the calendar falls is how I kind of propose the schedule. January doesn't fall as closely as to the holiday as usual, so I thought January 6th we might get a good turnout. And since we're not having a December meeting, I thought we could kick off the year with a January meeting.
Well, what happened to February?
So we're required to have at least 6 meetings, and I have 7 there.
Yes. But on the, March is our big meeting for our grants. So is there a purpose in not meeting prior to that? Are we
There'll
going
be lots of prep work for the commission
Okay.
to get ready for the grant meeting.
The midterm reports come in late this year. They come in December 15th. So will those midterm reports be ready for the January 6th meeting?
Possibly. If you'd like to propose to add a February meeting, you can, and you can vote on that.
My thought is this: if the midterm reports come in mid-December and they're not going to be ready for the January 6th meeting, that's holiday in 2 weeks, and that's pretty tough. So the March meeting is really about the grants that we'll be looking at for 25, 26.
So April this year will be our grant meeting. So we took the
April will be
yes.
the grant meeting. Oh, you're pushing it back.
Yes, so we took the feedback from the commission and past grant recipients that the holiday timeline was a struggle. So we are going to open up the community grant program January 1st.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
So in the notes, it states the March meeting. That's what was confusing.
I'm sorry. That's my mistake.
So start time for the April meeting.
should, yes,
Okay.
the stars on the April,
Got
sorry.
it, yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, but it's really the,
It's the April meeting, not the March meeting.
The April meeting will be the grant meeting then.
Sorry for the confusion. Yes, April will be the grant meeting,
Okay.
6 p.m.
and another question too, isn't, April when commissioners fall off and new ones get put, when does that change happen?
There are 3 of us, you and I. and-
Yes, we have 3 commissioners. Their term ends on April 30th.
Okay. That's you.
And the meeting
I,
is April
John.
7th.
Pardon me?
And the meeting would be April 7th, and the commissioner's last day would be April 30th.
So this current commission, it seems like should be the ones to put forward the recommendations for the next grant since we did all the work.
Which would happen April 7th.
Right. So that still works.
That still
Yeah.
works. Yeah,
And then
Okay.
who has a term ending in April?
John, you and I.
Oh, is that it? Okay.
Okay. All right, so what you're proposing is January, March, April, May, June is missed, July is missed, August, well, June, July, August is there, September is missed, October, November. That's a reasonable calendar. Now that I know that the grant meeting is on April the 7th, that makes a whole lot more sense, the upfront loading to it, okay? All right. So, commissioners, you have comments. Anne, what do you think?
That calendar sounds fine.
Okay. Commissioner I said Ann. I should have said Commissioner Giancola. Okay.
Yeah, I think it works. And if I remember, we are doing Zoom grants. They would be due in the end of.
The Zoom grants midterm is December the 15th.
So you will get a new timeline soon for the next grant cycle. But everything is getting pushed back based on feedback from commission and grant recipients that folks didn't like having applications due around the holidays.
So then
So
we'll get-
everything will get pushed.
So they'll be due. I forget when, because I sort of remember we reviewed grants in February before. No.
No.
Probably February 5th through March-ish.
But we moved the midterm from November to December 15th. It was November 15th. We pushed it back to December 15th.
So when would the deadline be for the grants now? And is that going to be enough time
Yes.
to prep for April 7th?
Yes.
Okay.
I built it backwards,
Okay.
Okay.
if that makes sense.
So it sounds like we'll have February to review the grants. Is that correct?
So you
And then
won't
talk
you
about
won't
them
need a
on March?
meeting. You won't need a meeting to review the grants because you'll do the individual
Right.
scoring. And tentatively, I haven't shared the dates yet because they have not been finalized or approved. But we're looking at the application deadline for Zoom grants being early February, and then as soon as those are submitted, commission will have a full month to review them, and then staff will have, I think, 2 weeks. And then we will have our grant meeting April 7th.
Okay, and also our midterms are coming in for this current grant cycle.
Right, and I don't have those timelines in front of me. I just have the future ones,
Okay, all right.
but I
we
will
would
get them
be-
to you.
We would be doing our work prior to the commission meeting anyway, and not having a commission meeting here allows both of those events to be going on. Okay, because we have new grants to look at, plus the midterm grants that are coming forward, so it's helpful to have that space of time.
I'm pretty sure the January meeting will have the midterm reports.
By January 6th, 2 weeks after submission of midterms? Okay, all right. Well, that's a good consideration. We'll see what happens, yeah. Okay, other comments on Commissioner Lamb? What do you think? Is this a good schedule?
I like the dates, yeah.
Okay, Commissioner Fry?
If we feel that we need to add another meeting in the future, can we do that even if we approve this as it is right now and then feel that we need a February meeting?
Yes, we had quite a few special meetings this year in 2024. So yes, we can add.
Then I like what I see right now.
Yeah, we did a special meeting in the month of August last year for the percent for art. And that came forward that way. So, Commissioner Simmons, what do you think? I'm good. You're good, okay. Can I have a motion then to approve the Civics Art Commission meeting schedule for 2025?
I will make a motion to approve the proposed Civic Arts Commission meeting schedule, location, and time as stated. Do you need me to list out the dates? Okay, thank you.
We need a second.
I second.
Commissioner Fry seconds.
Commissioners Bayoki, Commissioner Fry,
Aye.
Commissioner Giancola,
Aye.
Commissioner Lam,
Aye.
Commissioner Simmons,
Aye.
Commissioner Song, Commissioner Yi,
Aye.
Chair Kalman Knight. Thank you.
Aye. Thank you. Well, that closes item 6. Let's move on to item 7. And item 7 is to select 2 Civics Art Commission representatives for an ad hoc public art plaque subcommittee. Would you introduce item 7, Rachel?
Yes, thank you, Chair Coleman Knight. So at the August 5th, 2024 meeting, the commission approved a short-term work plan for fiscal year 24-25 and prioritized the assessment and potential replacement of public art plaques. The work plan includes exploring innovative additions such as QR codes to enhance public engagement. So tonight we are asking the commission to select 2 representatives from the commission to serve on an ad hoc subcommittee focused on assessing and replacing public art plaques. The subcommittee, as I just mentioned, will also explore the potential integration of QR codes into new plaques. The subcommittee will meet monthly starting in December and meet through March on dates agreed upon by the members. And the representatives who are selected tonight are expected to commit to attend all meetings, to participate in research and analysis, and help prepare a summary of findings. The subcommittee's work will culminate in a final report presented to the commission in early 2025, serving as a basis for further discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to volunteer for that subcommittee.
I'm also interested in doing it.
Okay, Commissioner Lamb and Commissioner Coleman Knight. Is there anyone else that has an interest in this? We're going to need a vote then.
This actually does not require a vote.
It doesn't. It says elect. And so,
Select, so just discuss, and then we basically have 2 volunteers.
okay, all right.
We're all set?
Sounds
I
good.
think we're set then.
Okay.
Commissioner Lamb and myself.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that closes item 7. We're going to go on to item 8 now, select commission chairperson and vice chairperson for 2025.
Okay, this is the final item for voting tonight. We are going to select commission chairperson and vice chairperson for 25. The election shall be by a majority vote of the commission held in December of each year. So we don't have a meeting in December. That's a quote from the municipal code. Since we don't have a meeting in December, we do our elections in November. The term of service for these offices shall be 1 year, beginning in January of each year, and no commissioner shall serve more than 2 consecutive full terms as chairperson of the commission. Commissioners may nominate candidates for the chair and vice chair positions. And again, the selection is made by a majority vote for the commission, ensuring leadership for the upcoming year. And I'll turn it back to you.
I have a question. Could you go over, so it's been determined that 3 commissioners their term ends in April. Can you, I always recall that you could get reinstated for another 4. Is that not happening now?
I guess the
You have
question
to
is.
reapply,
Yeah, you just reapply.
and you can be selected.
And how many commissioners are on this Civic Arts?
We have 8.
Is that going to stay the same?
Yeah.
Or was there?
I think we
Yeah.
go to 7.
Yeah, don't we
Oh,
go to
we're
7?
7.
I think attrition, they were
Yes,
taking
7.
us to 7.
Well, I think Commissioner Coleman Knight has done an outstanding job, and I would
Agreed.
like to see her continue for another year.
Agreed.
So Chair Coleman Knight, you've done 2 terms, correct?
Can't.
2 in a row.
Yeah,
she
you
Just
can't
2 in a
do,
row.
you can only do 2
This
years.
is it, yes.
Bye.
You mean as chair or
As chair,
Really?
yes.
Yeah, I can't remember it that
Yes.
way either.
It's in the handbook.
No, it didn't feel like you've done it for 2. Really? Are you sure?
Listen, I've bungled away through so many meetings, and you've been very generous. No, this is the end of my 2nd term, so.
Okay, but then as a commissioner, each term is 4 years?
The commissioner term is 4 years, yes.
Yeah, and you can do 2 terms, 2 4-year terms. Is that true?
That's true.
Yes.
Okay, so then a lot of this hinges on, who's terming out or who is up in April if they're gonna keep going.
It really,
So then how would you decide who would be chair and vice chair if the person, you don't know if they
So-
would get back on if they reapplied, or if you don't know if they're gonna reapply?
So we would cross that bridge.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm not terming out, so I would put myself up for chairperson. I'm happy to run the meetings. I cannot pretend, even in the tiniest percentage, that I could fill any shoes of the person to my left. I'm not saying that in any way, shape, or form, and I fully expect this person to be our leader going forward when she gets reappointed. But I'm happy to take over the running of the meeting, and I'm going to continue to be on.
Could, the chair be the vice chair?
Let me check my notes.
I don't know the answer to that.
I have my handbook with me.
I mean, I could look it up quick, but I think you can. You have to look up the muni code. And I'll just say though that I don't think that I'm gonna go another 4 years, so April will be it for me.
Okay, okay.
So you guys can plan to.
Well, the application process
Recruit out
includes
somebody
an
else.
interview by the mayor, and you are appointed.
Right.
So that's unclear as a result. The ballots are coming up on Tuesday. Well, actually tomorrow.
Oh yeah,
No.
whoever the mayor is may just decide, yep, 3 new people. No.
That's right. Yeah, could be, could be.
Yeah, I don't know. But either way, I'm, this has been fun and a great experience, but I don't think I'm going to put in another 4 years.
We expect to see you showing up and making comments, though.
Possibly.
Okay. So I'd like to nominate Mary Ann to be our new chairperson, and we're looking right now for a vice chair.
We don't see anything that says you couldn't run for vice chair. So if you wanted to be vice chair, if you
Bam, I nominate.
I was going to say a nomination.
You're not
I nominate Jan Coleman Knight for vice chair.
Okay.
I would like to nominate Commissioner Fry to be chairperson. I feel like she's had very insightful and thought-provoking comments in the year that you've been a commissioner. So I would like to nominate you if you'd like to consider it.
I thank you very much, but I have 2 shows I'm committed to, and I'm negotiating 2 more shows. So it would be hard for me to come to, I would make time for these meetings, of course, but it would be hard for me to go to the city council meetings, which I think is really important for a chairperson to be there. So thank you very much, but I will decline.
Would you consider vice chair?
I would consider that, yes. Yeah.
Okay. So we have some
So would you-
thinking to do. Commissioner Lamb, what do you think?
I don't have a comment. It all seems good.
So we would go to a vote. So we would just need a motion, and then we could vote. Or if you'd like to have more discussion, you can also do that.
Okay.
And the commissioners that aren't here are just,
John Woodling's song. She's in Washington, D.C.
yeah.
John Bianchi.
So just those 2, and he has a term up in April, and she has served as chair before. So, yeah, I'm fine with whatever you guys want to do, and who feels like they have time for the extra communications with Rachel before the meetings. And
So we need a motion.
I make a motion to approve chairman, a committee person, Mary Ann, to be chairperson. And
Yeah, we could do it in one motion.
okay.
Go ahead.
And I make a motion to approve Coleman Knight to be vice chair.
Okay.
I second that.
And we do need to call for a vote on this one.
Commissioner Bayoki, Commissioner Fry,
Aye.
Commissioner Giancola,
Aye.
Commissioner Lam,
Aye.
Commissioner Simmons,
Aye.
Commissioner Song, Commissioner Yi,
Aye.
and Chair Coleman Knight.
Aye.
Thank you.
There we go. Congratulations.
Well,
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Well, thank you for, engaging in a very worthwhile conversation. And I appreciate your time in considering it. So, and I'll be very happy to turn the meetings over to Marianne. She'll do a great job. So, so now we have concluded item 8, and now we're moving on to receive Civic Art Project status report number 9, item 9 on your agenda.
Thank you again, Chair Coleman Knight. I just wanted to highlight a couple of upcoming events we have in the Civic Arts Division. Starting with performances by the Pleasanton Youth Theater Company. They're doing a production of Anastasia that just opened this past weekend. There's still some tickets available for this weekend, so if you're interested, very talented youth in those shows. So I encourage you to see it if you can. Also, Chicago the Tribute is November 16th. Those tickets are selling quickly, so if you are interested or if you know people who would like to see that tribute band, please have them purchase tickets soon. And then I also just wanted to turn it over to Cultural Celebration Series and highlight some of those. We had one this past weekend. We celebrated Dia de los Muertos at the library, which was wonderful. And our next one, which is the final one for this year, is Native American Heritage Month celebration that will be on November 16th at the El Viso Adobe. And then finally, also out of this division, we plan the Hometown Holiday Celebration. So I'm sure you all are aware of that annual event. That will be held December 7th, and I hope to see you all out there. Again, I also like to always plug the Firehouse Arts Center newsletter. If folks maybe online have not signed up to receive that newsletter, I want to encourage everyone to do that because that's the best way to keep up with what's going on in the Harrington Gallery and performances at the Firehouse Arts Center and our cultural celebrations. So thank you very much.
Rachel, I just have a question. On the status report, it indicates permanent pieces 46. Does that include the Rotary mural? That's Hope and Promise?
No, that has not yet been installed. That is going to Parks and Rec Commission this month, and then we'll go to City Council for final approval after that meeting.
Okay, thank you. And the temporary murals, there are 2, and that's Gentle Beauty and Joy at Black Avenue.
That is correct.
Okay, all right, very good. Thank you. Any questions on the status report? Okay, then I'll close that item and we'll move on to, I think it's Commissioner Yee. You have the commission report, item 10, Ad Hoc Teen Poet Laureate Subcommittee Report.
Yeah, it's actually going along really well. I think we're moving in a good direction. One of the things that we've discovered is our former Teen Poet Laureate brought this to, kind of to the meeting and was saying that she felt like the city of Pleasanton wasn't set up or had the right memberships to be able to apply and be considered and compete at the national level. And in order to be able to compete at the national level, you actually have to be a chapter of a larger nationwide organization that's actually run by this other nonprofit. And the city gets its own logo that says you're a partner in this big nationwide group of being this chapter. And I think it would be great if our city was a chapter and could have that opportunity to go, from our city to the next level to the next level. But at the same time, any youth in the city could always go and compete at the county level and then at the state level. It's like you don't need to do it at the city level. You can jump right over wherever you need to jump to keep going up. So you don't need to do it, but she just felt like it would have helped to have that opportunity to be part of that same organization nationwide. And I think it does make sense because there's a lot of tools. There's like a toolkit, like, you know, what programming goes around it, and right, there's some resources. And right now, the city staff, you know, however it got started, you know, long ago, the program, it's just never been a particular staff's passion. And this is not to say anything negative about any particular staff, but we all know, right? If it's your thing that you're really into, you're going to like be all into it and make it really happen. So I think staff for quite some time now has just always felt like it got passed down. And because, you know, staffing is tight and everybody has, you know, more jobs in their job, that it's hard, it's been difficult to have time to have that passion or find a staff person who really wants to carry it. So the membership to be one of these national chapters is like $500 a year. It's not a lot, but then again, it's always where does it come from? You know, which budget, who pays for it? And I sort of feel like, you know, with now we're coming up with the grants and the budget. I mean, is there a possibility that the library and the arts commission could split that yearly fee so that the city could become, you know, one of the chapter organizations as an idea, something we're talking about. The other one is really, what does the programming look like, and then how does it get staffed, and how much staff time is there? So I was actually suggesting that, you know, there's a possibility of, and this actually is really great because it coincides with the city working on an actual, I don't know if it's an ordinance, but some sort of policy around sponsorship. But what if there was a nonprofit in town that wanted, you know, to be the benefactor of the Teen Poet Laureate program and actually pay for a part-time staffer and pay for the membership, and maybe even offer a prize, you know, for the winning, because we don't offer a prize. You just get bragging rights pretty much. So that's one part of the discussion. And then the other part of the discussion is just the programming itself. You know, what does that look like? And talking about the staff are going to put together some sort of draft, you know, what a program could look like. There's also some discussion around what the Poet Laureate does. And because there hasn't been a really dedicated, passionate staff person, you know, and really having that communication about what the Teen Poet Laureate does, a lot of it is they just feel like they go wherever the adults tell them to go. And it hasn't been satisfying for them. There's no alignment to really being a Teen Poet Laureate and showing up at, you know, I don't know if this is true, but like at a Veterans Day parade. Like, why would you connect that? You know, like she felt like doing a poet workshop for an ESL group was really like one of the most fun things that she did. But is there room for the Teen Poet Laureate to actually design like one sort of, you know, capstone event that they really wanted to work on and, you know, and be at it, inspire other young people to understand poetry and get involved in poetry? So there needs to be a little bit of room for the Teen Poet Laureate to, you know, come out and help show other young people what they do and why they do it and why they won, you know. But then again, you know, it's also very reliant on the young person who gets that position, right? Is that something they're interested in doing? Does it become part of their criteria of, you know, applying to being the Teen Poet Laureate, right? So there's some of those details that we're just kind of hashing out. But it's a great discussion, and I think the staff are just really, really great in brainstorming and, you know, and us balancing what the youth might want versus what's practical with the staff and what's the right thing to do that continues to, you know, promote, you know, poetry and literacy in our community and give our young people an opportunity to be recognized for something. And then also, how do we do the outreach so that it's not always the same group of kids that apply? You know, it tends to be the really high achieving kids that volunteer for everything under the sun and are resume building for private colleges, it feels like a lot of times. And so how do we change things? And, you know, in the county, I talked to them too, and they have the same issue with
Yes.
the kinds of kids that apply. So, you know, again, it's an outreach education thing about poetry. And I always think that if you just keep connecting it to rap, you're going to get a lot more than just saying poetry, because rap is actually an acronym for
Yes.
what is it? Rhythm and poetry. That's what rap stands for. A lot of people don't know that. So anyway, it's been a really fun process. We have more to do and more research and more questions and more digging around. And then it was just perfect that the timing of the city coming up with their sponsorship policy is just the right timing, right? To see if that's a possibility. And that way there's some real guidelines, you know, of what a sponsor could do and how that would work.
Sounds like it's been a
So-
productive conversation.
Yeah, no, it's been great. It's
So
been great.
this national organization, it's specifically for teen poet laureates.
Yeah, and if you go on their website, you'll see, you know, all the state or all the counties or cities. I mean, cities, well, cities and counties that are members.
Well, that seems pretty worthwhile, because maybe that would give the guidelines of how to find your teen poets and what kind of activities they might
Yeah.
be. Yeah, that seems like
sharing of resources,
super useful.
workshops. You know, it's sort of like there's a lot of toolkits and boilerplate stuff.
Yeah.
That would be really helpful, I think, for the city. You know, I don't see a downside to being a part of the organization. It's only $500, but, you know, when you're trying to carve cents out of everywhere, it's hard to come up with the $500.
There's a staff member dedicated now to helping the teen poet, or not really?
Not kind of, but not really. It's just sort of like, I don't know. It almost feels like they draw straws and says, "Okay, who has time to take this on?" I mean, that's dramatic. I don't, you know, I think it's more organized than that. But it's difficult, right? When you know, when you're short-staffed and, you know, people just keep saying, "Well, we do this programming, like, just keep doing it, you know, and you have to carve out the time or something else gives to do the one thing because there's only so much staff time in the day. So,
Well, I know the Pleasanton Cultural Arts Council, their Youth Excellence in Arts Awards, one of the categories is literary, including poetry. And promoting that is, you know, obviously there's a huge need to market and promote the arts, period. And it's costly, and it's includes extra time and that kind of thing. But trying to reach that group that would be interested is not easy. And
well, I don't know. I'm gonna say it again. I mean, if you tap into the right people or the right young people that help you on social media and create really good, you know, content that's just, you know, dynamic and relevant and interesting, you know, it doesn't really cost that much. It is time, and you do have to have the creativity to create that stuff, but it's not as daunting as people think it is. And, you know, it's unfortunate because, you know, the communications person in the city is like also really, 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 really taxed and doesn't have time to come up with the social media strategy for the city. You know, there just isn't time to do that. And, you know, the account got hacked into in the beginning of the year or whenever it was. And so trying to build up your followers again, you know, is tough.
Yeah.
It's a very concerted effort, but the city communicates in so many different ways. I don't know that I see a lot of promotion of like, hey, follow us on. You know, I'm going to look at something I see on social media that comes up on my feed more than opening a newsletter, to be honest. It's just, you know, it's just kind of how, you know, I consume, you know, information these days. I'd rather see it in my social media feed than, you know, have to click on a newsletter. So, but a lot of people still, you know, like newsletters, and they look for them. And
Is there a youth commissioner on your subcommittee?
It's the former poet laureate, who wasn't a youth commissioner, but she was the former poet laureate.
Okay.
Yeah, you've met her, Ishmi.
Yeah, I definitely
Yes.
met her. I was
She's-
just asking if the youth commission
Yeah.
has a representative to help find the, put input into the teen poet subcommittee.
Yeah, no, she's definitely, we asked her to give us like her high dream of what, she would picture the program could look like. Give us your big vision. And that was really helpful. And then just my experience of doing so much, youth programming and, and trying to do outreach to young people and stuff. I mean, I've spent years doing that. So I know how hard it can be, but I also know how easy it can be if you have the right, the right mix of creativity and support. But our communications person in the city, there's no way she could even have time to even manage like a small group of, young volunteers to help with social media. I mean, it would be really, you could do it, but it would be really hard. Her and I were kind of talking about that. I could maybe help brainstorm a little bit, but it's a lot. But if there was a way that you could figure out, how to operationalize your social media, I think the city would see great benefits from it. But it's just, it's always about resources. So.
So does Commissioner Lamb have any suggestions?
I agree with the idea that we should be expanding social media. I think outreaching to getting followers, things like that, would be good. Yeah.
Yeah, so if anybody's watching this meeting, follow the city on Instagram and Facebook at, I don't even know what the handle is anymore. I looked for it and I couldn't find it one time. I mean, in the county, we were like, oh, we better make sure we're following Pleasanton because of the mosquito thing. Because we wanted to make sure we reshared anything the city put out about the mosquito. It was like, we had to kind of look and make sure and find it. And
And at the cultural celebrations, we could make it known
yeah.
about, make sure we tell people to follow social media.
what you could
Yeah,
do
so
is if you have any signage, you could make a QR code for the handle and then people could just.
Yes, that'd be great.
So I know we're getting a little off topic,
Sorry.
Yes.
but I will just share it since we're there. City of Pleasanton is at City of Pleasanton CA on Instagram, social media, and we also have Firehouse Arts on social media as well. But thank you for that update. That's great.
Thank you. It's very comprehensive and it gives us a lot to think about,
Yeah, so.
Sounds like the next step,
So
we're
the
taking-
money, right? I mean,
Yeah, the
that's
money, yeah.
The money and the staffing, so.
Yeah, money and
I
staffing.
mean, you and I should talk offline. I have some ideas. But.
Okay, good. Okay, so that closes, unless there are any questions for Commissioner Yee, that closes item 10. And now we're on item 11, other brief reports of any meetings, conferences, and or seminars attended by commission members. So, commissioners, have any comments on this?
I attended the Dia de los Muertos exhibit. The exhibits were beautiful. There was a table for pets, so that was kind of fun. And it was very touching to see the age range of people that were being honored, from the very, very young to what you would expect, the less young.
You could say old, that's all right.
And there was activities for the kids to do and lots of books that they could check out on the subject. And then I'll be attending the PASS meeting on November 15th to discuss the Don Lewis art installation.
Okay, good. Very good. October the 11th and 12th, I went to the Hawthorne Gallery in Big Sur. Greg Hawthorne is the artist that created Windsong and Dancers. And October the 17th, I was in Montalvo Arts Center. There was an Indigenous art installation and event there. I attended the Hispanic Heritage of the Veterans on October the 13th and also Diwali on the 27th. And on October the 25th, I went to a school assembly at Moore Elementary honoring Indigenous people and Native Americans particularly. So, and this was just a great assembly. And the person who was leading the dance ends up being a professor at San Francisco State. And he certainly did not look like a professor at the dancing that he was doing. It was very captivating, and it really was instructive of the essential elements of the Indigenous community, which I thought was really, really important. Wasn't talking so much about the dance or this kind of thing, but the ethical background was part of this whole. And I stayed for two periods. The first period from 9 to 10, and then the second one was actually different from 10 to 11. So it was really worthwhile.
Sounds
Any-
great. I have a couple things. As I wanted to thank the city of Pleasanton for collaborating with Livermore Valley Arts on Rails Connect. So it closed in first part of October, but it was really super great, well attended for the closing reception and a lot of fun, and artists really liked it, and the collaboration was fun. Artists were well aware that the two cities were collaborating. Public, not sure they got that idea quite as much, but it was a good first foray into collaboration, so that was really fun. And I just got back from Venice seeing the Biennale, so that was really inspiring. They had global art, so art from all over the world on the theme. This Biennale was foreigners everywhere, so it was super interesting. And they did a lot with art installations, so it got me very inspired. We have to find a place to put some art installations. And so it was very inspiring.
Wow, that sounds cool. I am excited that a longtime friend that lives in Pleasanton actually has one of her photographs displayed in the Harrington Gallery.
Oh, really?
And she's super, super excited because it's her first time having her photography work displayed in an art gallery, and it gets to be here in her hometown. So that's kind of cool. And yeah, she's a great photographer. So it's cool to see her get that feeling of having other people be able to look at what she's created. So yeah, that's the exciting thing for me. But I just spend a lot of time lately doing a lot of stuff in the motorsports world, and not so much. Although there is a very artistic component to the motorsports world, but mostly motorsport stuff. Other than going to concerts, those are the two things I've been doing.
And you've been traveling. Is there anything that has come up for you?
No, nothing relevant to this group.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, then we're going to close item 11. And are there any comments on matters initiated? There's nothing stated there, Rachel.
Yeah, so future agenda items is something that you can initiate and vote on. If there's something you'd like to see, we can take that and add that to that section.
Okay. Are there any comments on future agenda items? Okay, we'll move right on to adjournment then. This meeting is adjourned, and thank you for your time.